Hey, good morning, everybody. I am at one of my favorite places. I'll give you a little look around. I am at my aunt and uncle's in Wisconsin, and some of my favorite people in the world. I just thoroughly enjoy hanging out with them. So we're up here to hang out and look at turkeys and deer and the cemetery across the street where all my relatives live. Let's see if we can get that. Let's see. Nope, that's kind of hard to get. But I'm going to be here for a few days, so I thought I'd do a guest live stream. And one of the things that we're talking about today is about how to rewire your brain and your nervous system. You know, one of the biggest problems with being in a narcissistic relationship, especially long term, whether you grew up with a narcissist, you know, your dad or your mom or sibling, or whether you struggle with a narcissist at your workplace or it's your boss or you're living with somebody who has a lot of narcissistic tendencies. So it's when you have stuff like that long term, it rewires your brain and your nervous system, especially if you dealt with it when you were a kid. You know, especially while you were developing and your brain was growing and your body was growing and you did all that, and you kind of got hardwired into feeling crazy. You kind of got hardwired into reacting to what other people might look at as a normal, no big deal situation, going into full-blown fight or flight. Your stomach clenches up, your shoulders clench up, your jaw clenches up, you get sick, you can't eat, you get a headache, you know, all those things. When you've had long-term stress like that, being with a narcissist in your life, when you've got that, you're going to end up having long-term problems that are in your body. So how do you rewire this? Well, first of all, and why should you believe me? Who's taking, live stream out in the middle of middle Wisconsin, which I just love here. My mom's side of the family hangs out here. It's where we're all from. So, because my name's Rita Hickman, I'm a body-mind expert and shiatsu massage therapist. My specialty is helping women who are in toxic or narcissistic relationships, really get their power back, to get strong enough to find peace and joy and raise their kids right and create good relationships and trust again and, dial down their stress. So, because I came from trauma, my body and brain were wired to freak out at the smallest sort of thing. It didn't take much. In fact, I was thinking about it this morning. I'm upstairs in a loft, in my aunt and uncle's house. And so I can hear everything. I can hear footsteps and everybody being up. And when I was a kid, I was terrified of hearing footsteps above my head. Every time that I would hear footsteps, I would freak out because I didn't know if somebody would need something from me, or I'd have to go someplace or be on or be cornered or be off guard, or I just never knew what to do. And so footsteps for me, especially footsteps, above me or below, but above me especially, would almost always, up until my late 30s, freak me out. So, mentally, you may have done the therapy, you may have done the work, you may have self-reflected, you may have found out all the reasons that you're as freaky as you are, and anxious as you are. But that doesn't change how your body actually feels, how it actually responds to this level of stress. So, here's how I've done it, and here's what I find is the most enjoyable way to do it. When something, you set up your own experience so that you can be triggered and have a happy ending. One of my mentors would work with, she would work with sex abuse survivors. And she would recreate the situation, and she would, in that recreation, end up having a different ending. So you get to do this in your own life too. You get to create pleasurable situations where you let yourself self-reflect and feel some of the things that you've never been safe enough to feel. Some of the places I like to do this are a place called King Spa, where I can spend the day there naked, wandering around to saunas and steam rooms and energy rooms, and let myself sit with anything that's been painful or hard in my life and start to reflect and rewire it. Because here's the neat thing. Your brain body, your mind body doesn't remember an actual experience. It remembers the last time you remembered it. And so when you start to pair up positive experiences with difficult emotions and difficult feelings, it starts to actually rewire your brain. It takes the neural connection that went left and it starts to reconnect it to something going right. And then at night while you sleep, these little guys come into your brain and they clean up all of the memories and all of the associations and all of the experiences that you're not using anymore. So every time you associate your difficult, painful experience, something that triggers you, with something positive, it starts to make you less and less and less reactionary to the situation. So it's not always a bad thing when something triggers you, because when something triggers you, if it's not on your own terms, if something came out of the blue and triggered you, you get to do something pleasurable while you're triggered. So now that they're like in the same box, the good stuff and the bad stuff are in the same box. And you're not only going to think of the bad stuff, you're also going to think of the pleasurable things that you gave yourself, the nourishment and the time away. You're going to start associating the two together. If it is on your own terms, you get to set up a pleasurable day or a pleasurable experience and let yourself self-reflect and be in and feel some of the things that you've suppressed. Because the only way to heal it is to feel it. It really is. And the only way you're going to feel it is if you're safe and you let yourself feel it. So give yourself a safe place. Give yourself a wonderful, beautiful experience. And let yourself recreate some of these feelings and some of these difficulties you've had. Because if you do that, your brain and your body will start to become less reactionary. It'll start to freak out less, which is awesome when you don't have to worry about, hearing footsteps and going into panic mode anymore. When you don't have to stay on your guard all the time because something looked like somebody might be mad or they might have a problem with you. You get to start changing some of these connections in your body by doing something pleasurable while you're allowing yourself to tap in or interact with something that's painful. And this is where energy or body work is really helpful too. Because you're getting these beta endorphins released, you're being held in a sacred, loving space, and you're allowed to feel the things that are too scary or not safe to feel on your own. Some movies I can only watch with other friends, but that's how I do it. It's not that I don't watch the movies, it's that I watch the movies with people that I like, love, and trust, so that I can have the courage to think about these things in a different way and not allow them to keep controlling me, because that's what happens. When you build up all of these triggers from long-term narcissism experiences, you trigger at everything. You walk around and everything triggers you. Everything makes you anxious or upset or insecure. And you have to start rewiring those. You have to start cleaning those out. And the way to do it is to face them, but on your terms. Don't wait for the world to give you an experience. Choose an experience, let yourself feel it, and do it in the most wonderful, amazing way that you can. Okay, so here's your homework assignment for today. I want you to find one trigger in your life, and I want you to let yourself think or feel or be with it for just a few moments, and do something that's pleasurable at the same time. Eat some chocolate or go for a walk, or listen to wonderful music that you love. Pair the difficult things that you're thinking about or feeling, and it can be something small. You don't have to, please don't pick your biggest trigger, because that'll never work and then you'll feel like a complete failure. Pick something that's small. Start with that. Pick a small trigger and start pairing it like you would pair cheese and chocolate, or wine and cheese. Start pairing things. Pair some of the difficult things that you feel or deal with something that's pleasurable, something that brings you physical and mental and emotional pleasure. Okay? So that's what I want you to do for today. Now, if you don't belong to the Healthy Mindsets to Cope with Narcissists group, look for it, join it. If you've already joined, invite people. We want you there. And then keep your eyes open for May 8th, because May 8th, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to be having a Zoom call with all of my favorite experts, CBD and self-defense and psychic and astrology and brain-body integration, and me, of course. And we'll have a moderator, and it's going to be a wonderful roundtable all about all of these wonderful, non-traditional, but powerful tools that all of us women have been using to deal with the narcissists that are in our life, whether they were at work, whether they were a romance, whether they were a family member, whether they're a spouse, whether they're a child. You know, it's all the same sorts of tools work. And so we're going to bring them together, and you'll get to watch us rap and hang out and enjoy each other's company and ask questions and get your questions answered from some of my favorite narcissism experts, okay? So we'll do an event. We'll get it posted. We'll share it. But put on your calendar Wednesday, May 8th, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and keep an eye out because we'll be there. I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye.